It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, my pretty babies, what is going on? Covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. You guys are checking out the RCWR show for this Monday night of April 29th, 2024. Minutes removed from a new WWE RAW. Did any of you guys notice there was an overrun? It wasn't by much, nothing to really brag about. It was just by 1 minute. I don't know if you guys had peeped that out, but I know I did. I couldn't happen but notice it because I was multitasking throughout the night. I actually had YouTube TV playing on my cell phone, so that's how I was watching Raw. And one of the times I was looking at the screen, I couldn't help but notice the cutoff time. And for me, can't really say how it was for you guys, but for me, the cutoff time was 11:01. So, and not for nothing, they did go off at 11:01, even though it turned into 11:02 technically, but it's all good. Hope you guys have had a fantastic weekend and your work week is off to a good start, depending on where you are. I know over here in the DC region, heat, lots of heat. Our temperature got as high as 90 degrees. We wasn't supposed to be seeing that. Like here in the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia area, that's weird because it's springtime and we shouldn't be seeing 90-degree temperatures for several weeks. Our usual norm around this time of the year is about 72 to 74. But yeah, we jumped. It's weird because we have today, tomorrow, and then a cool front is going to come in. And that cool front, if you even want to call it a cool front, because it really ain't doing much, it's pretty much going to put us right at around the low 80s. So about 82, 83. So, oh joy, you want to call that a cool front, whatever, man, whatever. Hey, I do want to know what you guys had thought about tonight's WWE Raw as it was Draft Night 2. What did you guys think about Draft Night 2 overall? Let your voices be heard. Cast your vote over on X at the RCWR show. We also got the community poll up on youtube.com/the RCWR show so you guys can pick and vote that way. It's so funny that I've been referring to X as Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter. I'll still just downright call it Twitter. And it's funny because there was a poll that was put out over the weekend. I don't know if you guys had peeped it out, but I think Elon Musk was the one that had got this going essentially, right? He pretty much said, hey, since I've taken over X, the name itself, it's better than Twitter. No, and everybody came back with a resounding no, Twitter was better. So whether or not he's going to change it back, I highly doubt it, but anything can happen. But I know when I saw all the feedback online, I couldn't help but say to myself, yeah, man, nah, I'm not really feeling X, because every time I say X, it sounds like a dirty word. It just sounds like a nasty, taboo word. That's just me. That's just me personally, man. So I would have to say overall with tonight's Raw. By the way, you picked a great night to tune into the show because besides talking about tonight's Raw, the draft picks and everything, we got some headline news that we'll be getting into. For the first time ever, I'll definitely be sharing my thoughts on the newest Jim Cornette controversy. So if you guys want a totally unbiased and really be able to look at it from all perspectives kind of view, you're definitely in the right place. Now, for my basketball fans out there, especially those of you that decided, you know what, I don't care about the Lakers, pretty much stick a fork in them, they're going to be D-O-N-E done. Just an update at halftime right now, it's still halftime. Lakers are leading the Denver Nuggets 53-50. Still at halftime. Should be over momentarily, though, before we are underway in the third quarter. I will keep you guys posted throughout the night. But I got to tell you, I'm hoping that they lose because originally I was hoping for a sweep. Because I just like seeing Charles Barkley. Seriously, when I watch Inside the NBA on TNT, I just love watching the crew, particularly Charles Barkley, because he stay having the jokes. And I love when Shaq gets him started. To see that the Lakers pulled off one game victory, I said, oh man, so you're telling me, my automatic thought was, you're telling me we're going to go to Monday night and my man Charles Barkley is going to get an opportunity to roast the Lakers? Well, okay, that should be kind of fun. All right, Monday it is then. But Lakers showing they still got a lot of life left in them as the third quarter is underway. Now, again, I'll keep you guys posted throughout the night. So, yeah, you picked a fun night. Tune into the show. Look, I was here Friday night talking about night one of the draft. And I know there was a good amount of you guys online that had the same reaction I had, which was, yeah, this draft night one really was pretty lackluster. Even the matches itself, quality-wise, it just... nothing was there. There wasn't any sizzle. There wasn't any pop. So with SmackDown in the rearview mirror, by the way, I think it's kind of funny that the ratings have come out for SmackDown and everybody and their mama that's copying, pasting this as news. The lowest SmackDown since December 2023. And I'm going, oh, wait a minute. Because sometimes I hate doing math after a certain time of the day. Pretty much when I go into the evening. I'm like Chevy Chase. I understand that we're not supposed to be talking about math here. I'm going, wait a minute. So January, February, March, April. So wait a minute. A little bit over 4 months later. And we're going, lowest SmackDown since December 2023. And I'm just going, and what's the viewership? Because I was ready to see a viewership of 1.1 million, maybe 1.5, and it was still a little bit over 2 million. And I couldn't help but go, well, that's good. That's actually pretty damn good because SmackDown usually averages 2 million plus. So the fact that it was still in that range, maybe not be as high as the others, but given everything that was going on with the NHL playoffs, the NBA playoffs, that's actually pretty damn good that they had that retention, I would say. So I just laughed when I saw that. But when you really paid attention to what was happening on draft night one, you just couldn't help but go, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of good on this one. This was a little bit lackluster. But that brings us to night two. Now, not for nothing, but as far as the celebrity star power goes for Raw tonight, they loaded it up. I'll give them that, as we were out there in Kansas City tonight for this edition. So we saw Patrick Mahomes. That's pretty badass. By the way, like the news that went down with Travis Kelce, looks like he has agreed to, I believe it is a 3-year extension with the Kansas City Chiefs. So the tight end is going to be sticking around for a little bit. Contrary to the reports that was put out there, as a lot of people were under the impression both he and his brother were about to embark on some type of commentary position in the booth with one of the major networks, but doesn't look like, at least for Travis, that's in the cards just yet. Well, we had him, we had Logan Paul. They really loaded this bad boy up. We saw Devon Dudley, Bubba Ray Dudley, the Dudley Boys, Medusa, Teddy Long. Who else was there? APA, JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, Farouk, Ron Simmons. Always great seeing Ron Simmons. Every time I see those guys, they always put a smile on my face. And I think when I think real hard about why they put a smile on my face, it's because every single time when I was a young kid going into my teenage years, into a young adulthood, and I was watching those guys, I just knew I was going to get one hellacious physical beatdown from those guys. I knew they was going to be bringing it. And I would always feel sorry for whoever the tag team was that was opposite of them because, man, there was going to be some serious pounding on that night. I'm telling you. Stephanie McMahon making an appearance as well. I put a tweet out as soon as I saw this because this went down within the first 15 minutes of Raw. Whoa, Stephanie McMahon, and really great how WWE set that up too. They showed her backstage and she's got the draft cards in her hand, and you just instantly, I know for me, I popped big. And then it also had me think about when was the last time we saw Stephanie on WWE television, and of course, that would have been around the period of when Vince McMahon had stepped down from the company, and the first go round, he stepped down from the company, and she was making appearances here and there and everything, but she was definitely still pretty active as far as a on-screen character goes. And then shortly after Vince McMahon came back, as we all know, that pretty much was the end of Stephanie. So I got a legit smile on my face seeing her again. She got a great reaction from the crowd and everything. Great seeing her, though. I mentioned Logan Paul. I Show Speed was in the house as well. So we had a little bit of something for everybody there as far as the nostalgia goes. But I got to tell you something, and maybe it's going to happen later this year, particularly when, and I hope they bring this back, but I love when Raw used to do the Legends Night editions and all the former legends would pop up. I hope they do that again this year, but really up the ante even more, because one name that I thought was going to be making an appearance on here, because he caused some, not even controversy, or nothing bad. He just caused some speculation online from what he had to say, and that's Jesse the Body Ventura. I don't know if you guys saw his post on social media, but he shared the news that he is in talks again with the WWE. And if you really read in between the lines, what he basically was saying, go check out his post on social media or just read up on it on your spare time. But basically, when you read in between the lines of what he was putting out there, it was, okay, so now that the old regime is over and done with, it seemed to be breaking bread with this new regime. So back in the WWE world again, it was what you were taking away from that. So huge Jesse the Body Ventura fan, even though he borrowed, some people may have a different terminology for that, but even though he borrowed some stuff from a man, superstar Billy Graham, I still love me some Jesse the Body Ventura, running man all day, every day. So you had the stars or legends that were here tonight on the show, pretty solid and everything. Let's talk about some of these rounds, because here's what all had went down. By the way, I'm not going to recap what happened on night one, because I would suggest to you guys check out Friday night show. I am editing the audio as we speak. I appreciate everybody's patience, because I should have had that out over the weekend. But I started playing around with some AI that's helping me out in editing a lot more. And it's helping me find dead air that I thought I got rid of. It's really helping me take out false starts, because sometimes it happens. I could say something along the lines of, oh, what the hell was that? What just fell on the ground? Oh my God. And it makes it so easy to be able to find stuff like that, because it actually will give me a transcript of everything that I'm saying within that audio piece. And then I can go back, I can edit it, I can switch words around, I can copy paste stuff. It's freaking amazing. I love it. But it's a bit of a slow process. It's a tedious process. So I appreciate everybody's patience. But I should have the audio version be available sometime in the wee hours of the night. Check out the webcast version in the meantime. Draft Night 2 results. Let's go. For Raw, Imperium's Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser. Did not mention Giovanni Vinci, and it should be noted Giovanni Vinci did not get drafted. Now, that's on air. Maybe once, right? Because in case you guys are not aware, there was actually some drafts that had continued on after SmackDown went off the air. Nothing earth shattering or anything like that. It was just a couple of joints here and there. Nothing you really need to be sweating over and everything. But Imperium's Gunther, Kaiser, they're staying right where they are on Monday Night Raw. That's followed up with Damage Control's Io Sky, Dakota Kai, Asuka, Kairi Sane. They're staying right where they are. Yeah, they're pretty much, because remember when they won the tag titles and they pretty much were able to. So it's interesting though, because when Raw came on tonight, remember when we were here Friday and I had said the champions were exempt. Well, when we got to tonight's Raw, Michael Cole in the game has stressed the fact that the women's tag champions were up for grabs, but the other champions off limits. So I thought that was very interesting. Meanwhile, for SmackDown in this first round tonight, Jade Cargill, so she's not going anywhere. She's staying right there on SmackDown. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. But what was interesting was, and for those of you that have the show on your DVR, peep this out. When Jade Cargill was announced for staying on SmackDown, the crowd actually booed that. The crowd actually booed that. This was very, and before anybody goes, oh, this must have been a Raw crowd. No, there was other times where they booed and you're going, or they gave no reaction and you're going, yeah, crowd doesn't. And you can almost hear the general consensus on forums and social media with the way that they were reacting and everything. Kevin Owens, SmackDown. So that's good. Sucks that we're not going to see KO and Sami Zayn reunite, but hey, it's all good. It's all, and the way things are looking right now, I have a feeling that Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, they're going to eventually embark on a feud with one another, and that should be popping on all cylinders. Meanwhile, round 2, voice of the voiceless, CM Punk being drafted. And I just love how right on cue, Pat McAfee was bringing the zingers tonight. Pat McAfee bringing up the fact that CM Punk, who's injured, gets drafted before Drew McIntyre. What kind of crap is that? And then further pointing out the fact that Drew McIntyre is still on the board. He hasn't been drafted yet. Why didn't he get drafted in the earlier rounds? What's going on here? That makes you wonder if there's some type of conspiracy or whatnot. Raw's second pick in that second round, Braun Strowman. There's a name that we haven't seen in quite some time. More on him in just a little bit. Third round, Raw taking LWO. All the members of LWO, including Carlito. And as we had saw from Friday night, that footage revealed it was Carlito that attacked Dragon Lee. So, gonna be fun to see how that drama plays out. You would have thought Carlito would have gotten a fresh start and they would just separate that whole thing, but we're gonna see that continue on. Raw's second pick. Well, I guess they must have been listening to Pat McAfee because Drew McIntyre was selected. Following up in that respective round, SmackDown going with Legado del Fantasma. And as we all know, Legado del Fantasma, LWO, they've been going at it for months on SmackDown, so we're finally seeing that monopoly be broken up. That's good. SmackDown follows it up with Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura going back to SmackDown. You know what? I love this move. I'm expecting nothing but great things to happen for Shinsuke Nakamura. As far as a world heavyweight champion, though, nah, that ain't happening. That is not happening, sadly. Now, if it would have been a case where he would have been staying on Raw, then maybe, just maybe, but still, I think with the way they built him up over these last several months, without a shadow of doubt, Shinsuke Nakamura is destined to get a world championship run. I hope that it happens for him within, I would say, the next 2 years. Is being modest, right? I wouldn't be surprised if some of you guys jumped out there and said, nah, Lee, nah, man. Actually, 3 years. Give it 3 years. We'll see how it pans out. But Shinsuke Nakamura going to SmackDown should be some good matchups, rivalries for him down there. Let's go a little further here into the rounds. What are we on now? Oh, by the way, Drew McIntyre coming out so pissed off over the fact that he was drafted so late, and then wondering what the hell was going on with the fact that CM Punk, a guy who's injured, guy who only had one match, gets drafted before him. Kind of BS is that? And I did not have on my bingo card that CM Punk was going to be in the house tonight. So I am really loving these spontaneous appearances. It just makes it that much more badass from the standpoint of, yo, you got to watch this show, because even though some of what they announced seems as though, okay, that's the entire show. No, not so fast. You know, here's a curveball. Hey, you didn't see this coming, did you? And I just love that we had CM Punk just appear from out of nowhere. In this case, he was up high above in a skybox, trolling the hell out of Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre feverishly searching for this man, trying to figure out exactly which skybox he's in. And finally, when he gets to CM Punk's skybox, Punk is gone, but he left a photograph, an autographed photograph. And I just loved how Drew McIntyre picked that bad boy up and he crumbled that joint. Don't ask me why, but the first thing that popped in my head was Def Leppard. I'm just going, photograph. I don't want your photograph. I don't need your... I loved it. I loved it, man. The ultimate troll. The ultimate troll. I loved it big time. As all this was happening, cue up CM Punk's music, who pretty much comes out there, is waving at Drew, makes his way to the middle of the ring, sits down Indian style, and he is just taking really nice verbal jabs at Drew McIntyre, promising that when he heals up and he's back to 100%, he is going to make Drew McIntyre's life a living hell. You can't help but go, but wait a minute, my dog. Dude, what do you call what you've been doing so far? What, you just been teasing him? Is this your definition of tease? Because if this is teasing, my God, well, I guess we haven't really seen anything yet, have we? I love how WWE is continuing to utilize CM Punk even though he is injured. I love this because when it's all said and done, okay, yeah, it might be an arm that's not at 100% right now, but he still has the other arm. He's got his legs, he's got his mouth, and he's got that microphone. He can make stuff move along with ease, with so much ease. That rehab and the recovery time will just go by so damn fast that you'll go, wait a minute, oh, he's back in the ring already? I thought he was injured and it's going to be several months. And you just realize that, nah, the way WWE has pretty much done it, time has just flown by, and we've been so invested in what's been happening between him and Drew. This is one of the best, beautiful things as far as rivalries goes, and I'm going to make a bold prediction. You can hold my feet to the fire on this one, but I'm going to make a bold prediction. Mark this date and time down. by, I would say, second or third quarter of 2025, look for WWE to have a new episode of Rivalries featuring CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. Because this rivalry that's been going on between these guys, even though it is just heating up, this thing's got a lot of life, a lot of shelf life in it. Right down to the point we could be looking at a best of 3 matches with these guys involved. And I'm all fine for it. And by the way, I was going to get into it much later on, but it's a nice smooth transition since we're talking about Drew McIntyre and everything. So glad to hear that he has re-signed with the WWE. I love the fact that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was the first to break the news. I just thought that was badass. And at the same time, it really shows that The Rock, he's been paying attention to what folks have been saying about Drew McIntyre online. Obviously, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is a big fan of Drew McIntyre's work. And just the way The Rock had went about presenting a really cool present to Drew McIntyre. I don't know if you guys had saw it on social media. I would share it here, but I want to make sure we don't get in trouble as far as copyrights go and everything. But Drew McIntyre was with his, I guess, significant other and or family, let's say family, at this really nice, fancy-looking restaurant. And a waiter popped up and presented this nice card that was from The Rock, and The Rock gave Drew this really cool, badass present. It was this cool, kick-ass sword. I envied the hell out of that sword. That looked like one badass. You got to see the sword, man. It's really, really badass. But anyway, what did I say to you guys off and on for the past couple of weeks, for the past couple of months? We saw all those reports that was being put out there about Drew McIntyre and his status with the company and whether or not he was going to be staying with WWE. And we had some folks jump out there and say, "See you in AEW, Drew." And it was so bad. Let me tell you how bad it was as far as Drew's leaving. It's so unfortunate because there's this great rivalry going on with CM Punk that's just starting, yada, yada, yada. Let me tell you how bad it was that folks were going, "Oh, he's going to AEW." It was so bad that even some of my colleagues, who I respect the hell out of, but you got to make sure that when you're stating a personal opinion, that you got to make sure you're stating that and that you're not saying what you're saying as fact because maybe you got intel or whatever, right? So you really have to make sure you're doing a better job in clarifying to those that's reading what you're saying on social media, because whether you want to admit it or not, when you work for a wrestling news site, even as a wrestling news, what's the word, aggregator or whatever the word is, you know what I'm talking about, those type of sites, you call yourself a wrestling reporter or what have you, columnist, what have you, you still got to make sure, because you're still influencing a significant amount of people online. But I even saw some of my own colleagues from 401 Mania go, "Yeah, Drew McIntyre is going to AEW." And I'm looking at this and I'm going, what evidence suggests that? What do you know that maybe myself and others do not know that you're willing to share? Is this a personal opinion or is this a professional opinion? Because you apparently have some sources that have told you something otherwise. Remember what I said to you guys when all of this first started with Drew McIntyre? I said, look, we don't know what's going on with Drew McIntyre. Believe what you want to believe, whether or not he's under a contract with WWE right now or not. I told you guys, if he's not under a contract, I'm very confident they will be able to work something out. But in the meantime, until an announcement can officially be made, let's just enjoy the work and appreciate Drew McIntyre in the here and now. Let's just enjoy the moment that we're in together, and let's deal with the facts later as they come. And now we find out it was shared on social media and everything over the weekend that Drew McIntyre has re-signed with the WWE. He's going to be sticking around for, I believe, 3 years. So that's good. That is very, very good. The best of Drew McIntyre is yet to come. I mean, he is just getting started with all of this great work that he's doing right now. And I'm looking forward to seeing even more from my guy. But this feud, mark what I said down. Mark it. This date, this time. Second quarter, third quarter of 2025. Look for WWE to make the announcement. There's going to be a new episode of Rivalries featuring Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. That's going to be badass. It's going to be badass. We haven't got started yet with these guys. Seriously, we have not got started yet with these guys. But that was good stuff. That was good stuff. And I just love how CM Punk, when he was done talking his hot mess, he's still sitting in that Indian style position. He turns his back on Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre just has this look on his face. I love how he went from having a pissed off, in a coma, trance type of zone to having this smirk on his face like, all right, you got me tonight. You got me tonight, but buddy boy, I got something for your ass. Next go round, you definitely not going to see it coming. That's the type of stuff that I was talking about. That's the type of stuff that I was alluding to when I was here Friday night telling you guys, look, this would have been badass if they would have done this draft in a way where they could have incorporated some of Pat McAfee's antics. Look at what he had did with the NFL draft. You want to take that same kind of energy, almost copy that same blueprint, bring that to your draft. Look at what the TNT crew does on Inside the NBA. You want to bring all of that to the table with this draft, with your fun, colorful analysts and everything like that. You know, make it more fun, make it more interesting, make it more engaging, but definitely make it more entertaining. And WWE, for the most part, with what they did tonight with Raw, Night 2 of the draft, they did accomplish those feats within reason. Definitely within reason. All right, some of the other rounds of the draft. Where were we here? I think we're now on round 4. Yes, we are. Round 4, Raw selected Judgment Day. So they're not going anywhere. Also, coming from NXT, my man Dragunov. We knew that was just a matter of time. I can't wait to see what this guy is going to be able to do. Hey, think about this for a second. Think about this for a second. There's a new dragon on the main roster, and his name is Dragunov, right? It's not Bryan Danielson, obviously, Daniel Bryan. I can't wait to see this guy mixing it up. I'm already thinking about the great matches. For starters, give me this guy and Gunther. Give me this guy and Gunther off the break. Oh man, don't even get me started, y'all. Seriously, don't get your man started on Dragunov and the wonderful possible combinations of matches that we could be seeing. Karrion Kross. Let my man Dragunov cross paths with Karrion Kross and the Testament. Oh, man. Ooh, don't get me started, man. Don't get me started. Meanwhile, SmackDown, they are retaining Naomi, and they've required Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. So, storyline continuity here. Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, they begged for Adam Pearce to put them in the draft because they wanted out of Monday Night Raw. Well, they got their wish. They are now on SmackDown. Going into our 5th round, Raw keeps Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. That got boos from the crowd, believe it or not. This goes back. Hey, tell me what I'm lying. What did we talk about? What was it? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was the Monday show where I said, man, the whole New Day, go back and listen to the Monday show. I said, New Day, they haven't been the same without Big E. It's so unfortunate. I even toyed with the idea. I mentioned the idea of shaking things up, maybe introducing a new member. And I even alluded to the fact that maybe a change of scenery, going over to the blue brand, maybe that would freshen things up just a tiny little bit and everything. But Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, their stand on Raw, that actually got boos from the crowd. I wish I was trolling you guys. Wish I could say I'm exaggerating, but check it out. Listen on your DVRs when you play the episode back from your DVRs. Listen, and you'll hear that the crowd was actually booing on that one. From NXT, Lyra Valkyria, the former NXT Women's Champion, she is going to be on Monday nights. I'm happy for her. I've seen a decent amount of her work. And as far as NXT call-ups, I know some people were going Roxy Perez. I know even some were going, you know what? I'm surprised that my girl, who's the girl down there in NXT? Fine-looking sister with the nice long legs. They just started. Ash Legend. I'm surprised she wasn't called up. I'm very, very surprised she wasn't called up. I don't know. Maybe something will happen online as far as the supplemental drafts go and everything. But Lyra Valkyria, very happy that she got the call up. That's nice, fresh new blood right there. This is what I'm talking about as far as injecting new blood goes and everything. Love that. It's a great touch. SmackDown, meanwhile, let's see. Actually, no, round 6. I thought there was one other, but no. Your final round, the Final Testament, Karrion Kross is stable. All those guys are now going to be on Monday night. Badass. So I don't know what's going on with Triple H on the SmackDown side of things. I don't know how much, not really, I don't want to say influence, but if he's usually on those shows is where I'm going. I don't know what his status is, but we know for a fact because we've seen many editions of Raw now where Triple H is trying to do his best to hide backstage in the gorilla position, right? He's trying to squeeze the hell out of that wall, but we can still see him and everything. I love the fact that Karrion Kross, his stable, I love that they're going to be on Monday nights. They're going to be working directly with Triple H, right? There's going to be more of that. I love that. I love that. Not that the other hand being SmackDown and everybody involved in creative wasn't aware of what Raw is doing, right? Not that SmackDown doesn't know what Raw is doing and vice versa, because you definitely have seen that there's been a better line of communication creatively all the way around. I love that. I love that. Right down to the point, some of the stuff that's been happening with NXT, that has bleed over into Raw and SmackDown. So I love that and everything. But for anybody that has been a longtime Karrion Kross fan, but hasn't really liked the way things have been going down with him creatively, particularly when Vince was in charge. I mean, we can all be in agreement with Vince in charge. They dropped the ball with him big time. With Triple H, Paul Levesque, this has been a work in progress. I think even Karrion Kross would admit to that it's a work in progress. And to now be in a position where, okay, now we're going to get everybody under this one roof. I'm assuming it wasn't really like that for the Blue brand. I'd be shocked to hear it was. But I'm going with the argument, we got everybody in the same house now on a weekly basis. This is going to get even better. Even better. So I'm looking to see what happens. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to put on the front. But in regards to the little bit that I was seeing with the Final Testament, I saw a lot of potential. But I needed it to be a case where, okay, other than feuding with the Street Profits, which it was a nice feud for what it was worth and everything. I love the stuff that was happening on social media and everything. But my whole thing was, okay, let's get Paul Ellering. Let's really flush him back out because he's pretty much just been in the shadows. He hasn't even been talking. And I love that he finally started talking within recent weeks and everything. But the few times that I was able to see what was going on with them, some parts I didn't like, I'll admit, but I can see a little bit of potential going on here. So I am optimistic is my whole point when it comes to the Final Testament. I'm definitely optimistic. Let's see where things go here. I've been checking out Karrion Kross's work since he was in TNA, Impact Wrestling. I'm so glad they went back to just TNA because when we were just calling it Impact Wrestling, that was just Anyway, Bronson Reed, big Bronson Reed, he's staying right where he is on the red brand. Meanwhile, SmackDown has recruited DIY for the best. They honestly ran their course. NXT. From NXT, SmackDown drafts Blair Davenport. So, that's cool. I don't mind that whatsoever. I've seen enough work of Blair Davenport to go, yeah, there's one woman down there in NXT that can handle the main roster, that's ready for that next challenge. Yeah, Blair Davenport for sure. And I see Chris in the chat saying that Triple H and Shawn Michaels said that Roxanne Perez is not ready yet. I mean, anybody that realistically is truly unbiased and has a pair of eyeballs that has watched NXT for a period of time and have seen the work of Roxanne Perez would honestly say she's not ready yet. I don't think, Chris, I don't think, I'd be shocked to hear people argue that, no, Roxanne Perez should, that shouldn't even be an argument. That shouldn't even be up for debate. I think unanimously, if we were to create a poll right now and let it be open for a whole week, I bet you 90% of folks would say, yeah, Roxanne Perez, not just yet. There's plenty of other women that we can think of from NXT. Not that we need to, because otherwise we'd be here all night. But there's plenty of other women that if we were going to draft them to the main roster, we would be drafting them way before we even draft a Roxanne Perez. Much like Trick Williams. I love Trick Williams. But he's got to be in the oven just a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer. Not too much longer, but just a little bit longer. How much longer, you guys ask? Next draft, bring them up. So next year, bring them up. You do it that way. Some of the in-ring action that we had tonight. Gunther taking on Xavier Woods. I love that match. Seriously, I loved that match. Those boys went at it for 16 minutes, give or take. And I love that no grit, no quit attitude by Xavier Woods, especially when Gunther had him in that leg submission hold and Kofi Kingston's looking for a towel and he's getting ready to throw that bad boy in, try to help his man out, and Xavier Woods, no, damn you, don't do it. No, whatever you do, don't you dare do it. I got this. Let me do this my way. And there was a little bit of life left in Xavier, but man, Gunther putting some serious torque in there. It was over. I loved it. It was a good match. It's a fantastic match. I loved it. Very gritty, a very gutsy performance by Xavier Woods. We could potentially be seeing a quarterfinals, if not a finals preview for that King of the Ring tournament, because remember, Gunther declared he was entering it. Xavier's looking to repeat, so it's going to be, could we have just seen tonight a preview of what's to come in the King of the Ring tournament? I have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Big Bronson Reed faced Sami Zayn for the IC title. Chad Gable interfered in this just when it seemed as though Sami Zayn was finding his stride. Referee had to pretty much throw this match out. So if you want to be technical, since Sami Zayn was attacked by Chad Gable, well, Sammy retained via DQ. Now you're looking at this and you're going, wait a minute here. First off, and I liked how Bronson Reed disappeared. I mean, he just totally disappeared. He just, wait a minute, 1 minute he's there and the next, where is he? And you're just hoping that the way this is playing out, we're not going to get a case of stupid booking 101 and go, well, wait a minute. Chad Gable essentially cost Bronson Reed his championship opportunity. Bronson should be pissed. He should be looking for some retribution here. And sure enough, after Chad Gable did everything that he did, he grabs the IC title, holding it up high. Big Bronson Reed come from out of nowhere, attack him. I love that. Good stuff right there. Could ultimately be looking at a triple threat match between these guys for the title that could be going down very shortly. Meanwhile, Candice LeRae had a match against Maxine. Candice LeRae, I was about to say, if I recall correctly, and I did, just then as I was thinking about it, Candice picking up the win. This match went about barely 2 minutes. I'd be shocked if it was 2 minutes because I feel that this match was less than that. Seemed as though LeRae maybe tweaked her leg a little bit at some point in this match as Indy Hartwell was helping her to the back. So not really sure what's going on with that, but hopefully, they'll be all right there. By the way, didn't we hear a announcement? I'm checking my notes here. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I could have sworn we heard that Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae were being drafted to SmackDown. I almost want to say, I'm almost confident we heard that announcement. I think it might have came in as some type of breaking news after maybe a commercial break. If you guys that's checking out the show live and you're interacting in the chat, if you have social media or you're watching the show, if you can confirm and post in the chat, I'd appreciate that. But I believe we had heard that. I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first. I'm always willing to admit when I'm wrong. But I hope that whatever is going on there with Candice LeRae, hopefully it's not too serious and, just a little stinger and she'll be all right, after a week or 2 weeks, have a little bit of rest or whatnot. What else was on the docket? Awesome Truth retaining their tag titles over to Zoa and Otis. Is what it is. Liv Morgan in a gutsy performance of a match against Nia Jax makes me appreciate the work of Nia Jax even more. It's gotten to a point now where whatever is asked of Nia Jax, she is just essentially going out there and she's just doing the damn thing. Whether that is go out there in front of the crowd and catch a ton of heat from that Kansas City crowd, which she did when Becky Lynch was out there trying to figure out who was going to be her next challenger, because she's happy to win the championship, but now comes the fun part, which is defending the title and everything. Liv Morgan tried to step up to the plate, but then Nia Jax ended the festivities. Liv Morgan not appreciating that. Furthermore, it's still the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour. She's got some receipts she wants to cash in on Nia Jax, and she essentially was able to do that tonight in this one-on-one matchup against the unstoppable force that is Nia Jax. But no, anything that is asked of Nia Jax, sincerely, and we really got to start giving this woman her flowers, because seriously, any and everything that is asked of her to do, whether it's she needs to go out there and she needs to make an ass of herself, or she's got to go out there and say something insulting to the crowd, or she's got to be at the receiving end of an ass whooping. I mean, she's going out there and she's doing the damn thing, and you can't help but look at that and just go, you know what? That's what's up. That's what's up. That is how you win the respect and win people over and everything. I'm looking in my notes right now trying to see. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything about, hang on. I'm looking at that Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell news. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Hang on. Yes, I did. I did remember it right. I did remember it right. I'm looking at an updated version of my notes here. We mentioned New Day from Monday Night Raw, and then Lyra Valkyria from NXT, and then SmackDown went with somehow this was missed, but luckily I have an older version. SmackDown selected Pretty Deadly, which got no reaction from the crowd whatsoever. Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, been drafted over to SmackDown. So, but yeah, what match were we talking about? I'm trying to remember. I believe we were talking about. Hang on, let me go back. Liv Morgan and Nia Jax. Yeah, I actually enjoyed it. It was a good match. Nice way for them to get Liv Morgan over. But, for me, I'm trying to be nice here, but I got to give it to you guys right between the eyes here. I got to tell it how it is. Give it to you raw, right? I've gotten to a point now when I hear that Liv Morgan music, watch me. And it's like, no, please. I'm just doing the Jack Nicholson. Like, no. And the promo tonight that Liv Morgan had with Becky Lynch was a prime example of, wait a minute, I'm supposed to take this woman as a legit contender. I'm supposed to take her as a legit threat. And the way that she's talking, it seems as though she just hammered down a 6-pack and she's just waking up for the day. I BS you not. You think I'm lying. Go back and check out the damn promo that girl had did with Becky Lynch. That was painful to listen to. Very painful to listen to. And I was just ready to change the remote, change my TV with my remote at that point. But then luckily, Nia came out there. And for me, I know other people are like, but for me, Nia saved that damn segment. Because that was just starting to go off the damn rails, far as I was concerned. Final matchup of the night. Ricochet teaming up with Jey Uso to take on Andrade and, Jey Uso, Ricochet, and Andrade teaming up to take on Judgment Day. Poor JD, by the way. Poor JD. JD getting that big old noggin right upside the head there as Logan Paul was in the house to present one of the rounds for the draft picks with his boy, I Show Speed. I need speed. Not me. I'm talking about him. Boy, he cut off Logan Paul too. Logan looked extremely pissed at I Show Speed because he had a little bit more to say, and I Show Speed just, you got to peep that out. I hope that's somewhere on social media because Logan Paul just looked like, the hell, man. And then he just kind of shook it off and went into the whole deal and everything. But I remember Logan Paul was talking trash afterwards, taking some cheap shots at Jey Uso. Jey Uso coming out there. Next thing you know, Judgment Day getting the jump on him, minus Damian Priest. And as we all know, Dominic Mysterio injured. By the way, that was a nice cameo by Dominic Mysterio backstage as he runs into the LWO shortly after they were drafted. So kind of a funny little spot right there. So LWO and Judgment Day eventually mixing it up. That should be a lot of fun, especially whenever Rhea Ripley comes back into the mix. Right? That should be fun as well. But, Jey Uso getting his ass handed to him. Remember at one point, Logan Paul had went over to Patrick Mahomes, who was in attendance in the crowd, grabbed his 3 Super Bowl rings, and was ready to clock the hell out of Jey Uso with it. Jey dodges the attack, and poor Logan Paul inadvertently hits. I was about to call him forehead, but hey, the commentators called him that. But yeah, hits forehead instead, and forehead goes down. Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Come back a couple segments later. JD, big old noggin. Loved it. Loved it. It was hilarious. I loved it. Freaking loved it. So, pretty much setting the tone and everything for our main event match, which was our tag match and everything. Good match, just enough to have Jey Uso build up momentum and everything going into Saturday's pay-per-view, as his team had won this tag match and everything. And here we are yet again, where somehow JD McDonough messes things up yet again, because in the final moments of this match, he tried to make the save attempt, but he accidentally lets Jey Uso get away. That pretty much equaled a super kick to Damian Priest, followed by a spear, superfly splash, and the match was over. So don't see Damian Priest losing the championship this weekend, but at least they've built it up, and there's a nice level of curiosity and everything going into that main event and everything. So, definitely, as far as the matches go, better quality when you compare them to SmackDown. As far as the picks go, slightly more entertaining than what we had got from SmackDown. Okay. But I think overall, it still didn't have that. This feels very, very important. This feels very groundbreaking, with the exception of Valkyria and Dragunov being called up. Strowman coming back into the mix. I can't wait to see how that's going to go down and everything. But above average edition of Raw, I would have to say overall. For the second night of the draft, definitely better than the first night. But it's interesting because I think we polled you guys. Matter of fact, let's look at the final polling results for night one of the draft, because I can easily pull that up right now. And let's see where we are. And as I'm pulling that up, I got to tell you, your man over here is still extremely sore, as true story. And it happened to me once again, and it just goes to show you it can happen to anybody, regardless of how old you are. As you all know, I'm dealing with an older dog, a senior dog. I've got 3 dogs. My oldest one, Maggie, Pygmies. She is at that age now. A lot of health problems. Sooner or later, and my wife and I, we're already having the conversations about, is it time to let her go? And it just seems like it's getting worse and worse, but kind of staying at a certain worse level that, we're trying to manage, trying to do our best to make her as comfortable as possible. But over the weekend, I picked her up and everything, and I'm trying to go down the stairs. And my other 2 dogs, terriers, they're playing with one another. Our youngest one, who is 8 months old, she likes to nip at my feet every time. From the moment my feet hit the floor and she's on the floor, whatever it is, she likes nipping at my feet. So I'm getting ready to go down the stairs, and she's trying to nip at my feet. And I say to her, "Get away, go on now, go on." And somehow I slipped, not because of her, but I end up slipping, and I fall down the stairs in my own home here. I fell down the stairs with my dog in hand. And all I can think of at that point, as I'm falling down the stairs, is, okay, hey, if I'm going to fall down the stairs and my dog is with me, I would rather sacrifice my arm and injure the hell out of my arm than have this elderly dog get injured in the process. So I took the full effect. My right arm, shoulder, right hip, leg, part of my left leg, everything got rocked as I went down the steps. I must have went down about 10 steps. And I was on the ground for, a couple of minutes. My oldest Yorkie comes up to me, and, she's licking me. She knows I'm not okay. She's licking me, and I'm like, Just give me a minute, buddy. Give me a minute, little buddy. And I'm checking on my oldest dog, Maggie, and finally, it's like, okay, everything seemed to work. Everything seemed to, or do I need to call an ambulance? And luckily, I was able to pick myself up. Dog was okay. Maggie, she was okay. But it was scary, man. That's like the second time in this house. I've been at this house now for almost 15 years. That's the second time that I have fallen down these stairs. And I was telling my wife about it. And she says to me, okay, so, I'm glad you're okay, but are you sure you're okay? Like, how does everything feel? And I said, well, I feel like I got rocked big time. But, it is what it is. She's like, okay, well, just keep me posted. Like, you got something you could take? I'm like, yeah, I got some stuff in mind. So I still have some muscle spasm prescription that I was given a couple of months back because I was having some back issues. And the doctor had told me pretty much use this as you need it, as it happens, right? And I said, okay, all right, cool. So I took one of those bad boys, took some ibuprofen, and your man had pretty much called it a day after that. I was very banged up. A lot of people laugh when they hear about people falling down the stairs, but it can happen to any and everyone. So as I told my wife, I got to start using that guardrail, whether I like it or not. And our stairs over here, luckily, I think it would have been much worse if my stairs had been bare boned, because my stairs are carpeted. But still, when you're hitting those edges and you're falling down, it's not good. So I'm seeing what people had to say in regards to, did we even poll you guys for the draft night 1? I'm trying to see here. Yeah, it doesn't look like we put a poll up for the draft night 1, and I was pretty sure there was a draft for night 1 that we did, but it's all good. It's all good. So look, I know for a fact we did poll you guys for draft 2, draft night 2. Here's how it's looking so far over on YouTube. Shout out to you guys checking out the show via YouTube. Split decision. 50% of you feel it was an average show, while the other half of you thought it was a fantastic show. Appreciate you guys that voted via YouTube. Keep it rocking. Keep it coming. Meanwhile, hey, shout out to our friends and everybody that's watching via X, Twitter. The Twitter! All right, we got 4% of you guys saying it was a terrible show. 9% of you saying it was a fantastic show. 27% of you saying it was an average show. And 59% of you saying it was a good show overall. So, by the way, can I just give a shout out? I just want to give a shout out real quick. I want to give 2 shout outs. One, I want to give a shout out to Karrion Kross. I'm just now seeing, because I'm haven't really checked my notifications, but I'm seeing Karrion Kross is now following me on X. So appreciate the love. Thank you so much. Very humbled by that. Thank you. And who else? I want to also give a shout out to my man, Sean Ross Sapp. I know Sean Ross Sapp has his detractors. He's got his haters. But I believe he lost his grandmother. It was either his mother or his grandmother. I believe it was his grandmother over the weekend. He had been preparing for this because they had put her in hospice, and he pretty much was spending as much time with her as possible. And she unfortunately passed away over the weekend. So my best advice to you guys, if you follow his work over on Fightful, however you may feel about him, losing a loved one, right? So if you haven't done so, definitely go on social media and, let him know, hey, heard about your loss. Sorry to hear about that. Thoughts are with you and your family. I'm sure he would definitely appreciate it. I'm sure you appreciate the sentiments. Losing somebody that is deteriorating at a alarming rate. I mean, it's different for everybody, but man, once you are in hospice, I mean, that's pretty much it. That is pretty much it. So I know we're kind of dealing with that right now in our respective family, as the wifey's aunt is having early signs of dementia. She officially got diagnosed, I want to say, over 8 months to a year and a half ago. And it's gotten to a point now where nowhere near the talk of hospice yet. But there's a lot of stuff that she is forgetting, and the family is trying to do everything they can to try to help her continue to remember, certain things and all of that. So it's sad. It's sad to see somebody go through that form of a declining health and everything. Appreciate everybody that cast their vote. If you haven't voted, continue to vote. Keep it rocking. Keep it rolling. So let's get into some wrestling headlines. Yeah, this is my favorite part of the show. I like talking about the shows themselves and everything, but I like talking about some of these headlines, especially when it's juicy stuff that I haven't spoken on yet, and I get to talk about it for the very first time and everything. So let's start off strong, and then I'm going to throw some curveballs at you, and then I'm going to hit you with another heavy hitter and all that, and we'll pretty much go from there, all right? So first things first, Jim Cornette ties back into Raw, but we are done with the talk of Raw. Adam Pearce. I don't know if he trended, but he sure as hell got social media talking for all of the wrong reasons. If you noticed his outfit tonight, you're looking at it going, hey, Jim Cornette, Midnight Express. Sure enough, he posts on social media that he was paying homage to Jim Cornette. And you're going, oh, that's what's up. Okay, all right, cool. Hey, that's, good for you. Nice. And boy, social media was ripping him a new you-know-what left and right. And look, people complaining that he's blocking people left and right, that, you know what, that's his business. He has every right to block whoever he wants to block. If people are hitting him up and they're saying foul, nasty things, is one thing to say, hey, man, the timing of this and everything, do you really think you should be posting this right now? And I'm sure if you said it like that in a respectful way, you probably won't get blocked. If anything, he'll probably mute you or just ignore you altogether. You won't get a response. I'd be shocked to hear if somebody said, no, Lee, I said it to him just like that, just in the words that you put it, and I got blocked. Hey, I'm sorry to hear that. That's pretty messed up. Context is everything, right? So over the weekend, I'm sure many of you all make your rounds checking out different podcasts. I know I do. I got my handful that I'll check out, usually clips. That's what I'm into these days, mostly clips because my schedule is so hectic. Anyway, Jim Cornette has a new clip where he's talking about Swerve Strickland becoming the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And the thumbnail for this, it's by the talented Travis. I am a big fan of Travis and his art. Love it. Love it. And anybody that has checked out Jim Cornette's clips on YouTube for a significant period of time, there's always a riddle to his thumbnails. You're trying to understand, okay, how does this make sense? And you have to listen to the clip usually to go, so that's how, okay, I'm with you now. So for this thumbnail, we have Swerve Strickland, a Q-tip with eyeballs, I think a smiley face, and we have a gorilla. And in the face particularly, it's Jim Cornette, even has the glasses on and everything. So you're looking at this, and a couple of reactions comes to mind. If you're a longtime Jim Cornette listener, you're going, all right, let's see how he strings this together. I'm trying to figure out the riddle, but you can't help but think, this is going in a derogatory direction. This is going in a uncomfortable direction. Not really sure I right? Okay? Let's be real. I know when I first saw that, speaking as a person of color, when I first saw that thumbnail, I'm going, oh boy, the controversy is going to be hot this weekend. And then I proceeded to click on the link, listen to the audio. I listened to the audio, and no shocker to me, Jim Cornette does not mention, I repeat, does not mention anything racist. But you have a segment of listeners, a segment of wrestling fans that already hate Jim Cornette and everything that he stands for. There's been so many instances over the years of, he said what? He did what? To who? How? That you go, ooh. And my wife said it best. I remember when I was telling her about this. And I love my wife. She is that casual. Don't get no casual than her. It's pretty much if she's home and I happen to be home and the TV's on and I'm watching something wrestling related, that's how she watches. Otherwise, she ain't watching. Telling her what all had went down with this clip. And the first thing she says to me, well, let's be honest, babe. Jim Cornette, at least in my personal opinion, from all the clips that I've heard by you playing them and you're listening to them and everything, Jim Cornette sounds like a person that doesn't give a f***. He gonna do what the f*** he wants, when he f*** wants, anytime, any place. And you ain't gonna be able to tell him otherwise. I said, yeah. That's pretty much Jim Cornette in a nutshell, babe. And she goes, yeah. Like, so, yeah. Now, let me expand on her thought, because I thought she hit it. Casual wrestling fan. Hit it dead in the nail right there, right? I'm looking at this, and I know Eric Bischoff says controversy creates cash, okay? I saw this a mile away, what Jim Cornette was doing. You don't think for 1 second Jim Cornette is working with Travis and he's saying to him, hey, maybe it'd be cool if you don't, because when it's all said and done, he is signing off on the final image that is to be used for these clips. I would be shocked to hear differently otherwise. Okay? So, with all the stuff about Jim Cornette that's happened over the years, and Jim Cornette is essentially, when you get this thumbnail, it is a automatic hook, line, sinker. He's baiting folks. He knows controversy creates those engagements, gets people talking, all of that. Is Jim Cornette racist? It's so interesting. It really is. I sometimes struggle answering that question because I know people that at one point got training from Jim Cornette or used to be within Jim Cornette's circle of associates, almost close friends. And the impressions that I've been given by these people who remain nameless, again, when you've been around as long as I have, which has been since 2011, you're able to rub elbows with certain people, right? Certain people that are in the know-it-all and all that. And the information that I've been given is basically, no, he's cool. I know there's times where Jim will say something, and shout out to Brian Laz, he'll give it to Jim right between the eyes. Dude, you were dead wrong for right? But what makes me uncomfortable, and this isn't speaking as a person of color, this is just me as a listener and somebody that tries to support other podcasters, right? Is what makes me uncomfortable is, man, of all the thumbnails that you could, why would you lean into that? I get controversy creates cash, and some people's shtick. They like to cause a little bit of controversy. They want those engagements. They want those social media impressions and all of that. But why lean into that? For social media strategy, for social media branding and marketing, why would you lean into that is my question. Because do you not understand what that will warrant? Do you not understand the type of feedback that you'll get in return? Put to the side for a difference. This is very important that we talk about this. It really is, because I need for people, especially you aspiring podcasters out there, I need for you guys to apply critical thinking when it comes to your brand marketing strategies and all that. Okay? Because put to the side those that's going to be angry at seeing a thumbnail like that. You got to be thinking about, man, what kind of message are you sending by having a thumbnail like that? By having that out there, what window of opportunity are you creating for people? We're already in a divided world as it is, with a lot of people that feel a certain way about interracial relationships, right? Same-sex couples, the LGBTQ plus community, the stuff with the pronouns, people that are non-binary. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. And we've gotten to a point now that we're even attacking people for the religion in which they practice. So imagine if somebody is a Proud Boy and they see that type of stuff. They see that thumbnail. You got to think like that. And to prove my point, I have a screenshot of it. Anybody that wants to call my bluff, you will lose. But challenge me and I'll put it out there. Screenshot image on Jim Cornette's own YouTube channel, where someone says, and I quote, "Well, I don't see what the big deal is anyway. Swerve looks like a gorilla." Ooh. So again, why? Why? It's totally unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. It's not a case where, oh man, we've been doing this podcast for like 5 years and all we are able to get is just one view per episode. Like, we can let a whole week go by and all we get is one view. We let a month go by and we're still at one view. We let 6 months go by and all we're at is one view. So, well, what can we do to kind of spice things up a little bit, create a little bit of controversy? Well, I know. How about we? It's not that case for him. I tell you, he really makes it hard to be, when he does stuff like this sometimes, he really makes it hard to not just be a listener, but he really makes it hard to be a fan. And I'm just kind of getting to that point now. You ask me straight up, honestly, and I know this will probably ruffle some people's feathers. And look, to those that want to continue to listen to Jim, support him, and, have at it. But when he keeps putting himself in these situations, it's just getting me so sick And it's giving me those knots in the stomach where I just go, man, let me just put some distance and let me just go in a different direction as far as listening to some other shows or whatever, because I don't like what's going on here. I shouldn't feel ashamed or embarrassed or scared to say I listen to, and not have to worry about somebody saying, "Oh, so you're a racist piece of, you know what? You like that?" I shouldn't have to be in that position. I shouldn't. So I'm trying to give the man the benefit of the doubt, because I'm hoping that there'll be some type of a piece of the show where maybe he gives us the thought process about what exactly was going on there, and some type of reassurance that something of that magnitude is not going to happen again. But I highly doubt that it's going to happen. I know some of my friends in the podcasting world, they kind of have the same mindset I do, which is there's always the riddle with the thumbnail, but let's click on it. But, if you are not a person of color, it's easy to just go, I don't see what the big deal is. And it's easy to go in that direction. But when you're a person of color, or you're in a relationship with a person of color, you feel where I'm coming from. So, I didn't mean to get off on a little rant there, but, that was something that's just been eating me up this whole weekend when I saw all of that go down, and just left me shaking my head, just kind of feeling a little disappointed, because Jim has always struck me as somebody that, okay, I understand what's going on here with the swing of society. I understand that what I did maybe in 1974 isn't going to work in 2024, so I need to. It's really, like my wife said, he just doesn't give a Peacock listeners or subscribers, listen up. Peacock is going to be increasing their subscriptions beginning in July. To be exact, July, probably early July, mid-July. They're going to be increasing their subscriptions. So check this out. Premium with ads is going to be going up by $2. So that makes it $7.99. Premium Plus is going up by $2 as well. So that's going to make it $13.99. The Premium Annual, that goes from $59.99 to $79.99. So yeah, they tacked on an extra $20 right there. And then your Premium Plus Annual, that's going from $119 to $139. I got to be honest with you guys. I don't know how many of you all have thought that far along yet, but I know in the Sanders household, we talked about it, which was, hey, going to keep Peacock once WWE hits Netflix? No. Probably not. I think the only way I would keep Peacock around is if some type of a thing goes down where if you want to continue to see WWE originals, doc specials, check out their library, I think that's the only way I would continue to keep Peacock, because other than watching WWE content, I'm not watching Peacock. I think the last time I went out of my way to watch something on Peacock that was non-wrestling related, I watched the miniseries of The Best Man. I'm pretty sure that was on Peacock. I watched that. But other than that, that pretty much was it. So that would actually be helping me free up money on that subscription. Speaking of subscriptions, some new information is coming about where I know a lot of people were confused by this news. AEW's streaming deal with DAZN, D-A-Z-N, how it ended, and everybody was just going left and right, taking AEW to town and everything, because it's, first of all, a lot of the people that are ripping AEW didn't even know that AEW even had this partnership with DAZN, okay? They didn't even know about that. So And second of all, as it pays to wait until more information comes out. This was supposed to be a 3-year deal, but the deal ended after 1 year, and it pretty much was done at the beginning of this year. The reason why so many people did not know about this is because it wasn't available in North America the way that they had this set up. This was pretty much for our folks overseas. That's why this has been met with, wait, what? Like, I didn't even know that. Well, that's why, because it's for the overseas people. And it's not like, as wrestling fans in North America, we're going out of our way, not unless you are a hardcore wrestling fan and you're on top of international wrestling news like that. You're not going to be going out of your way to look into stuff like this. But regardless, a reporter by the name of Steven Mulhausen, who previously worked for DAZN, he noted on social media that the service had exercised its option to end the 3-year deal on New Year's Eve, 1 year into the deal, saying, quote unquote, want to make it perfectly clear that it wasn't AEW's fault the deal wasn't renewed. I ran the wrestling social side for DAZN. AEW bent over backwards when I asked for interviews and liners from talent to promote their major TV shows and pay-per-views. DAZN never gave wrestling even 5% of the budget given to boxing and MMA, which to me was a shame, as wrestling had a real shot on DAZN. But besides me and the news team, it never got the opportunity it deserved. Now, he would go on to note that the pay-per-view numbers were below expectations except for All In and select episodes of Collision, as well as that show's first month. He noted that outside of places where AEW was available internationally, not enough people were watching on the service. So, I mean, just picture that for a second, folks. Seriously, just picture that for a second. And I totally can relate to this. This is where experience and insight comes into play here. Anybody can just mention this and then move on to the next item, but it's okay. Hey, just happen to have this experience, and I can kind of give you a little bit of a peek behind the window and all that other stuff. This type of stuff happens all the time. I remember, and look, I don't mean to say anything of ill will towards this company, but I'm just going to call it exactly how I see it, okay? I remember when I had partnered up a few years back with Fight TV. Fight TV pretty much, these guys were around before DAZN had even kicked in. Anybody that knows Fight TV, you can check out wrestling, you can check out MMA, you can check out boxing, all kinds of sports entertainment stuff on Fight TV. And I remember seeing one of my colleagues that was doing a podcast. They had got a deal where they were able to have a partnership with Fight TV. So they were exclusively streaming their shows on Fight TV, nowhere else. And I remember I hit them up and I said, hey, do you think maybe I got a shot? Maybe I could, maybe I could do this. And they were like, man, this was, way back when, like with the numbers that you're pulling in, like, and you can back it up, you can show them proof and all that. Like, yeah, go ahead, give them a holler and everything. So I give them a holler. And, have a conversation or two. Goes really well. Next thing I know, I get this, contract or whatever, and I'm giving all this information about, who my team is as far as giving them my episodes and everything. And the rest was history. And we didn't get any support whatsoever. Every time we would say, hey, the latest episode of the RCWR show, or even wrestling with the topics, there used to be some wrestling with the topics I would give them. Like, hey, the latest episode's available on Fight TV. Go check it out. You think their social media team spent 1 ounce of energy retweeting, reposting, liking, quoting, whatever terminology you want to put out there? You think they were sharing it with the rest of? No, was not even doing it. Even if they might have had something of a wrestling division, and the folks that handle the wrestling side of things peeping out for posts like that on social media, go out of their way to. No, none of that whatsoever. The only things that Fight TV was concerned about was the heavy duty, what is actually putting money in their pockets. Those big MMA fights, well, what they consider to be big MMA fights, boxing matches, and all that. They cared about that stuff. They didn't care about the podcast. It didn't, whether you were bringing in 5,000 viewers or 75,000 viewers monthly. They didn't care about the wrestling podcast. Plain and simple. When it came to the podcast division on Fight TV, as far as I was concerned, no love whatsoever. And when you feel you're not appreciated, you're not going to last that long. I can remember getting the numbers reports, and, some months I'm looking at the numbers reports and I'm going, man, this is crap. Like, why am I wasting all of this extra time to, render these episodes and then upload them through this third party sharing connection FileZilla thing, and then I gotta email this person to let them know that the episode is available to upload to Fight TV, and then it's not like it's gonna happen promptly. That episode, it's gonna take them 3-4 days to upload that episode, and by then, like, we've already moved on to the next thing. So, right? So I could remember just looking at that collectively, but particularly the marketing side of things. I remember even way back then, I was fascinated, still am today. I'm always fascinated with the marketing. Always marketing. If you're not always thinking about marketing, you're not growing. Plain and simple. I remember way back then, I'm looking at how I was being marketed, or their lack of, as well as other shows, and it was a case of, yeah, okay, I'm good. And I dipped out. So to hear this guy share his knowledge about, hey, all of us that are connected on the wrestling side of things with Dazen, AEW was going over backwards for us to help us promote their content on this app. But the company overall, it just seemed like, yeah, they did this over here, but they're not really. So it's like, no, put more of, like they said, the budget. All about the budget. That's totally unfair. I mean, that sucks to hear, but it's a practice that happens more often than a lot of people want to talk about. And that is the honest truth. That's the honest truth. Ric Flair had gave an update on his daughter, Charlotte Flair, as far as her recovery from injury. He mentioned the fact that it seems as though she is ahead of schedule, but regardless, she has to stick to doctor's orders and everything. This is still a 9-month timetable from what he mentioned in the interview. So, 9 months. Good God. What month are we in now when it comes to Charlotte Flair? Got some interesting AEW news in regards to Julia Hart, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Darby Allin. First, we'll start with Julia Hart. It's been reported that she's sidelined with some injuries doesn't look good right now, as many of us had saw in that match going up against Willow Nightingale at AEW Dynasty, where she lost the championship to Willow. Something seemed to be a little bit off and everything. Well, according to the good folks over at Fightful, they're noting that early indications are said to be that Hart's injury would require surgery. However, specific details on her injury currently aren't known. Looks like she also won't be appearing on AEW TV anytime soon, as she's reportedly not scheduled for any upcoming TV taping. So take all of that news that you're hearing with a grain of salt. Obviously, we got to see what happens on AEW programming, how they address it, if it's even legit, right? Speaking of AEW programming, make sure you guys set your DVRs, because Rampage is going to be on this Wednesday after Dynamite goes off the air. I'll actually be on the 401 Mania site once again this Wednesday night. I gotta tell you, I like doing these live Rampages. It has overall better feel, energy, execution, better quality of matches. I'm loving it. I'm hoping this is something, as I've said repeatedly already, even in my reviews on the site, that this is a permanent thing that happens going forward, way after the NHL, NBA playoffs and everything. By the way, let me give you guys an update on what's going on with that Lakers game. Let's see where we're at now. And that is it. The Los Angeles Lakers have been eliminated. Final score 106-108. So that is it. That was game 5. Yeah, that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's it. They are eliminated. I can't wait to hear Charles Barkley. And there's going to be that Gone Fishing segment. I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, there's your NBA score update. So make sure you set your DVRs for Dynamite. And for those of you that's going to be around Wednesday night, definitely hop on the 401 Mania site. I'll be providing live coverage. There's a really cool community section. It'll be at the bottom. You'll be able to post your comments and interact with folks in real time. It's cool. Got a nice group that hangs out. Got a really nice, tight-knit group. Usually the same suspects. But overall, great group. Really great group. See, what else? We're still talking injuries. So we mentioned Julia Hart. Powerhouse Hobbs is another one definitely want to mention here. In regards to Powerhouse Hobbs, it's being reported that he suffered a knee injury during his recent Dynamite match with Jon Moxley. As a result, he isn't expected to return to TV anytime soon. We'll see how all of this plays out again on this week's AEW programming. Darby Allin. Definitely want to send a shout out to Darby Allin. I'm going to just remove myself for a couple of seconds so you can see this. But apparently, for those of you that's checking out the webcast version, you're getting ready to see the image in question. For my audio listeners, look at the timestamp of 1:38:25. So this is a picture of Darby Allin. Apparently, he was out in New York with a friend trying to go to some theater. I don't know if the friend was walking with him, but Darby Allin basically got hit by a bus. And as you can see, his nose, his face, it got messed up pretty bad there. That is just, this guy, let me just take that image off now. This guy cannot catch a break for nothing. Wasn't it just 6 weeks ago he was supposed to climb Mount Everest, but unfortunately that didn't happen because he had some freak accident happen on that respected week's Dynamite with his ankle, and it's like, oh man, what a tough freaking break. That sucks. Like, literally, speedy recovery. And now my man gets hit by a bus. And Crowbar, I love Crowbar. He puts out some of the most coolest, thought-provoking takes on everything wrestling related. Yeah, I'm with Crowbar, which is, what exactly was Darby Allin doing? Was he looking at his phone when he got hit by this bus? Was he saying to his friend, I bet you $50 I can run across this street and that bus will only miss me by a smidget? What was going on? That's what I want to know. It's crazy. I'm glad, because this is where the story is even crazier. So after he gets hit by this bus, right, and he says, "Oh, I got banged up, messed up nose, but me and my friend we were able to go to the theater and check out this joint." Like, wait, you still went to the theater afterwards? You didn't just, I don't know, go get yourself checked out at the hospital first to make sure that you're okay? What the hell, man? Are you crazy? Obviously, you definitely are. But what the hell was going on? Was he on his phone? Was he on his tablet? Was he skateboarding and jamming to some music? What was going on? Did he see a fine-ass looking woman and he just broke his neck and was looking back there the whole time just going, damn, that girl is fine? Well, brother got to know what was going on. I'm with Crowbar. We got to know what was going on, because how could you get hit by... Let me not even say nothing, no, because truth be told, I know some of them bus drivers, I see it all the time out here in the DC metropolitan area. A lot of bus drivers, they will be on their phone texting while they supposed to be driving. I've even seen some passengers say to some of those bus drivers, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that, right? You could get in trouble. And I've seen some of the bus drivers go, shut up. Mind your business. Like, mind my business? You are my business. You supposed to safely get me from point A to point B. What do you mean, mind my business? You are my business, I mean, come on. Seriously. But no, seriously. I'm glad he's okay. But it just seems... Is it me? Or does it seem like knocking on heaven's door? Does it seem as though something of a dark, mysterious force, some type of bad aura is around this guy? I mean, because it just seems like this guy cannot catch a break for nothing, man. Seriously. At this rate, I would be shocked, because he's already in his early 30s. At this rate, I'd be shocked if he is still walking on his own 2 feet by the time he gets to age 35. You feel where I'm coming from? Got a question via Facebook. Edward is saying, fun question, has Tammy been to any wrestling matches with you? I feel like I've gotten this question before, and I'm not being a dick, so don't take it this way. But... I swear, at least once a year, it seems like I get this question. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make a timestamp for this particular episode. And what I'm going to start saying is yes. And because it's not fair to longtime listeners that know, yes, we have been to wrestling events together. And then they have to rehash what events we went to. It's not fair to the longtime listeners. But the short answer is yes. One of the last times that we did an event together, it was the final Raw before, again, together. I did a couple solo, but the last one that I did with the wifey was final Raw before WrestleMania. Paul Heyman, CM Punk trolled the hell out of Undertaker. I still have the commemorative ticket that's chilling in the background there, right down to the point if I ever get another opportunity to meet CM Punk, I'm going to have him autograph that bad boy for me. But that was the last event that we had went to together. We had talked about going to a SmackDown event that's supposed to be coming up. Now, this part is new. I don't mind sharing this part because this part is new. I just, I hate going down revisionist history. There's got to be something I'm really, really, that I know longtime listeners wouldn't mind me, oh yeah, this is a good story. Like, but I would hate to just keep rehashing the same thing over and over because it's not fair. But we were talking about going to a SmackDown event that's coming up in August. The only thing with that is, I remember when I was talking to her about it at the time, what's going to happen with the roster? And it was, well, we got to see obviously what happens, after the draft, to kind of finalize that decision and everything. Because I got the jump start trying to see about some really good seats and everything. But as I kept mentioning to her, let's see what happens with the draft. Now that I've seen what happened with the draft, I mean, there's a part of me that definitely, Cody's the champion on SmackDown. So there's that part of me that's going, maybe, I don't know. Have to wait and see, but where we both are at respectfully right now, I know for me personally, oh, you know what? And then another thing together, Edward, I'm very surprised at you for mentioning this because if you really stop and think about it, and I don't know how long you've been listening, but I've seen your name pop up before. You would know for a fact that one of the last times that me and the wifey did an event together, it was actually the Jericho Cruise. And we saw a boatload of wrestling on the cruise that whole weekend. And we talked about it on an episode of Wrestling with the Topic. So I would recommend that you go out of your way, check out the audio version of that show on demand and on the downloads. And you can kind of, get the 411 that way and everything. But the way we are right now, me and the wifey, we're at a point in our lives where she's focusing, besides her 9 to 5, she's focusing on her side business and her work in public relations. I'm focusing on my job. I'm focusing on college because, man, I am like 75% done. I'm like this close to having my associate's degree. And then from there, transferring to a 4-year college so I can work on my bachelor's. So it's like, I'm all over the place. We both are all over the place. That's why I'm really looking forward to. It's funny because the older I've gotten and the older she's gotten, we've gotten to a point where, okay, you're not doing anything work related, right? Right, hon? Okay, great. And then in regards to me, I'm not doing anything wrestling related, right? Because she knows me so damn well that if you get me in a wrestling mode, you think I'm going to relax at a wrestling event, I'm going to be taking freaking notes. Basically, I'm going to be on the clock. And the whole point of me, right, is supposed to be R&R, right? So, yeah, we kind of made a agreement that together, let's try to not do wrestling events unless it's something that, unless it's WrestleMania or something like that. And obviously I'm going to be, sorry guys, I love you, but I'm going to enjoy this as a fan and I'll talk about the experience. Speaking of experience, I got to give a shout out to my man TG. TG is somebody I'm hoping I'm going to be working with very soon. He's supposed to be doing some stuff for the YouTube channel, uploading shorts, clips, things of that nature. I'm supposed to be talking with him sometime this week. I missed talking to him this weekend, but I definitely am looking forward to chatting it up with him. TG actually went to WrestleMania. He was trying to pick my brain, asked me how I had enjoyed it, and I told him, and when I threw it back to him, he said, well, I actually went. I said, well, damn, have you had an opportunity to talk about it? And he was like, no, I haven't. It's like, well, we got to maybe figure out. But then I was thinking about it more, and it was a case of, man, too much time has passed, sadly. But one of these days when I'm able to sit down with him, I'm just going to pick his brain and just, what stood out to you? Tell me something that most fans probably wouldn't know unless they were there, right? Unless he's able to tell me something that, oh, you guys will find this interesting, you know. But yeah, heads up about that one. Other than that, just trying to think for a second. Shout out to before we had went on that little rant there, and I apologize to you guys, especially our longtime listeners. Shout out to Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler. He won the vacant AAA Mega Championship at Triple Mania 32. Shout out to him for that. And we got some backstage reactions in regards to Tony Khan and the whole WWE Harvey Weinstein comments. I would imagine that people that work in WWE looked at that, had a field day, went WTF. People in AEW, no doubt, WTF, what the hell, WTF, WTH, WFF. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just being playful. But no, like, you don't need a wrestling site to tell you that it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, especially from this standpoint. You know that there are people in AEW that has friends, significant others, and vice versa. And they're hearing these comments. It all goes back to what I had touched upon on Friday night. You know, the optics of this, it looks really, really bad. And there needs to be that buffer. As I mentioned, there needs to be that public relations specialist that can be that last line of defense. And, you know, you do it no different. You do it no different than when I used to do interviews for Wild Women of Wrestling. And, you know, I've already, you know, told them that, look, once I'm done with my studies, I'd be more than happy to, but right now, like, all the free time I have, I need to invest into my studies and everything. But I will be starting that back up again. But it's like when I was doing interviews for Wild Women of Wrestling. It was never a case where I would have the talents to myself one-on-one. There would always be somebody, preferably someone that works in public relations, that would be in the background listening to my interview. They would jump in. Early on, they would jump in if, hey, you guys need to make sure you bring this up, or, hey, don't talk about this. You know, that's a off topic, right? Like, can't talk about that. You know, stuff like that. And it got to a point where, you know, once I'd done enough interviews, they knew, okay, yeah, Lee, he's good, safe. All right, guys, enjoy. You need anything, just holler. I'm just going to be over here reading a magazine, right? Right. It's kind of like that. But you need to have that type of public relations specialist that Tony Khan definitely will respect and listen to, and not put themselves in a position where they back themselves into a corner. And what should have been, because as far as social media buzz, definitely he grabbed that and then some. I loved it. Even if it was corny, I loved it. But to then take all of that good press and practically flush it down the toilet, per se, with those comments, not giving a damn, just throwing caution out of the wind and not giving that consideration to those talents that have significant others, family members, friends working for that other promotion. Just all the way around bad. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to, you know. And by the way, as we're getting ready to wrap up the show, I want to give a shout out. Speaking of Tony Khan, I want to give a shout out to my friends over at Wrestling Soup, Mitch Thomas, Joe Numbers. I was in on the earliest stages of this when it was just a rough draft of a essay, if you will, where I was reading what Joe Numbers had to say about Tony Khan. It didn't go all the way up to real time with what went down over the weekend, but it's pretty much as close to real time as you're gonna get. But this is great video that's on their YouTube channel that I would highly recommend you guys go out of your way and you check out. It's a really great piece talking about Tony Khan, really breaking down everything that he's been doing thus far in managing AEW. Great 19-minute piece. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. If anything, it'll get you talking, and we'll have some stuff to add. As far as your 2 cents go, you'll have something to add to the table when you get done listening to it. But as I told Mish and Joe, I said, this is a really good masterpiece right here. This is really giving people something to think about. And I'm glad to see that the words were turned into a video. It's a very powerful video. And I'm not just saying that. So go out of your way. Check that out. I want to give some honorable mentions to BMF. For my BMF fans out there, this is it. This weekend is going to be the season finale of their 3rd season. Looks like they're going to be going out with a bang, so make sure you're representing, checking out the season finale. We got ourselves a new X-Men that's going to be dropping. And, man, I tell you what they did with X-Men 97 last week, all those great cameos. Rogue, man, they got me out of my seat for Rogue. That episode last week was so good. I went out of my way to actually follow the actress that does the voice for Rogue. Oh, my God. That was the cameos, man. I'm telling you, the cameos. I was just a little kid. What? At like 4 in the morning. Because sometimes if I'm up, sometimes I'm wired. I'm doing all different types of projects. These days, if I'm not trying to figure out what's going on with this project for class over here or this assignment, I'm now taking up making beats via the computer or tablet, or messing around with some instrumental loops, playing around with that, making some fresh music out of that. So I don't know. All of a sudden, I now want to put an EP together. That's what's going on. I'm like all over the place, man. Anyway, be kind, rewind. Check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads. Wherever you get your podcast, just search the RCWR Show. Get at your man on X/Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Use the keywords the RCWR Show. Appreciate you guys that checked out the show live. If you're going to be checking this out on demand, much love, man. And I can't stress it enough. Best way you can help the show, spread the love, spread the content, hit the likes, leave those ratings and reviews. By the way, shout out to the people over at Good Pods. I mean, we really been on their list these past couple of weeks. I just saw an update where we're now ranked, last I saw, ranked 37 out of 100 podcasts in the wrestling category there. So that's pretty good. Looks like we're in some nice company too, man. Appreciate that. Everybody who has been going out of their way, checking out the audio versions of the shows, thank you so much. Keep it up. Appreciate it. And as far as your next show, well, since Dynamite and Rampage is going to be on Wednesday, I think what we're going to end up doing, I'll poll you guys. I mean, honestly, if you guys want another Friday show, I'll poll you guys. If Friday is bad, then we can obviously do another day. I'll give you guys some options, but maybe we might do something Friday or we might do something over the weekend. It just really depends on what you all's preference is. So when you see that poll, vote, and vote this way. Hey, I know I'm going to be around. I'll be able to check out the show live. That way I have a really good idea of, okay, yeah, we can actually, or no, we'll just take the night off and, come on back next Monday and everything. Until next go round, wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you guys next go round. Adios, y'all. Take care.